When I posted the initial basement construction announcement video a couple weeks ago, a bunch of you guys asked for more info, more detail on this project. So today I'll show you exactly what I'm doing here in this space, and I'll show you how I'm soundproofing on a budget. Initially, I kind of resisted doing a video on this whole process down here just because I'm not an expert on finishing a basement. I'm just learning from what friends who have done it also have told me, and what experts who know how to build stuff like this have told me. And I've honestly just watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and there's a whole bunch of different approaches you can take to finishing out a basement space and doing some soundproofing. So this is one of many. I'm going to do my best to explain why I'm doing the things I'm doing, because I know somebody's going to disagree with something, but I just want to make it clear why I'm doing certain things the way I am doing them, and I'm trying to kind of stay on a budget. I'm doing a lot of things myself. So step one was concrete sealant on the floor and on the cinder block walls. This basement space has cinder block walls up to about 7 feet over here and here. It's a little bit lower on there because ground level is lower on the back side. I actually sealed those up right after we moved in, which is good because cinder blocks are very porous, and so a lot of moisture can come through, and getting that sealed up just helps with keeping a dry basement. I just recently added it here on the foundation floor. And so things are staying really dry down here, which is great. I'm always keeping the dehumidifier running too, but this is just a big precaution against water leaks and moisture leakage into the basement, and it really helps prevent mold and things like that. Up next, I put this R-board up against the cinder block walls. You can see it here, the purple stuff, which is just a thin 1/2-inch insulation board. I live in Georgia, and down here we really don't need anything too crazy and too thick because our winters aren't extremely cold. And so really all this does, you put your hand on the R-board here, and even if it's very cold outside, it's not cold to the touch. Whereas when you put your hand on the cinder block wall, it can feel freezing cold, and so it's just a little bit of additional insulation. I've also got R13 insulation between all the joists above where the cinder blocks end. So basically the exterior of the house is R13, and this interior wall over here is. And I've added R38 insulation into the ceiling joist, which is a big part of the ceiling soundproofing method that I'm going to share a little more with you about. But all the wood framing, so there's a whole bunch of 2x4 construction, and that's something that has been really fun to build because I just like building stuff. So it's been really fun building all this. But somebody asked a really good question in the comments of one of those previous videos the last couple weeks, and they said, hey, it looks like you're doing a lot of stuff with the 2x4 wall. Isn't that maybe over engineering? Like, are you trying to build a room within a room? What exactly are you going for there? And that's a really good question. That's a valid question. So really the number one reason is I just needed drywall backing. I also had to build some doorways, but it's easier to attach drywall to wood. That's what you're supposed to do rather than attaching it to concrete or a cinder block wall. Now, yeah, you can take 2x4s and attach them directly onto the concrete wall and then just slap the drywall onto there. I could have done that and it might have saved some trouble. But because the cinder block wall only goes about 7 feet up, there would then be a ledge, because then there's normal stud wall above that on the exterior of the house. Really, I wanted it to just be a continuous straight wall the whole way up, with the exception of that wall where the ledge is lower, and so it's actually useful. And so that's why I decided to just go ahead and just build the stud wall. For a few additional reasons too. One, that it makes doing electrical easier. You can just put the receptacles on there and run the wires either behind it or through it. It keeps that really simple and consistent. And it's a little bit of additional soundproofing because technically these walls are not attached to the exterior walls. They're attached to the floor and to the ceiling. I also had to build around some ductwork and some pipes and a bunch of stuff over on that end of the room. So I had to build this big bulkhead. And so I used the doorway I built over here in front of the utilities, as well as this wall over here past the electrical panel, to support that. And of course I added some other 2x4 supports just to make sure everything's super sturdy. And so we can have a continuous ceiling over there that hides all the duct, which will be great. And also a valid question is, okay, why is this wall floated out from the back wall? You can see it here. Well, the simple reason is I just wanted to line it up with an existing joist in the ceiling. Because when you build these stud walls, well, you've got to attach them to the floor with your base plate, and then you've got to attach to the ceiling. Unless they're attached into the wall, I guess. But these are not attached to the wall, it's just floor and ceiling. So I had to line it up with the joist because the ceiling joists are going this direction. Also, I had to build around some obstacles over here. There's a PVC drain pipe that sticks out from the wall. There's some tubes running to the AC fans outside. There's an electrical panel. So yeah, I could have then expanded the wall further back over here on this end of the room, but I decided I'm just gonna line it up with the ceiling joist so I don't have to do any additional reinforcement up there. There's an additional pipe back there that's kind of in the way. So it made more sense just to do a continuous straight wall, even though it meant losing a little bit of space. I was okay with that. So the next step in here is really drywall. We're gonna be doing electrical very soon, and once that's done, we'll be ready to put in the drywall. And the drywall is actually a big part of the soundproofing or really sound dampening. If you're familiar with soundproofing at all, or how sound travels, how sound's absorbed, you know that substances or objects with a lot of mass really absorb the most sound, especially low frequencies. That's why if you're in a camping tent, you hear everybody's voices outside the tent, because it's that thin material that sound just goes right through. If you've got a concrete wall though, then not a lot of sound's gonna go through that concrete wall, and if you're in a concrete bunker, you're screaming really loud, nobody on the outside is gonna hear. Concrete's actually a very good soundproofing material, and of course that's what the foundation of this house is, and that's why I really decided not to float the floor, because there's going to be a lot of sound and vibration absorbed into the foundation, and it's just my basement space here and the garage over there. So there's really not a need to isolate things from that floor, it's fine. But drywall is actually a fairly heavy, fairly dense, and massive substance that works pretty well for soundproofing on a budget, because drywall is also fairly cheap, 20 bucks for a pair of 4x8 sheets. What I'm going to do for the ceiling is actually 2 layers of drywall. So I've got the R38 insulation filling the joists, and then I'm going to put the 1/2-inch layer of drywall up against there, and then I'm going to put a layer of green glue onto that drywall, then attach the 5/8 layer. Now normally you'd use 5/8 anyways for ceilings because it's stiffer and it's thicker, but in this case it's going to be 2 layers. And really what's cool about that is that the different thicknesses of drywall are going to block and cancel different frequencies, and so they're really going to work together rather than having 2 1/2-inch layers or 2 5/8 layers. But the really unique part is what the green glue does. It's called an acoustical glue, and it does function as a glue, but it's also providing an air pocket between the 2 layers of drywall. So if the 5/8 layer on the bottom is vibrating, well, those vibrations aren't really going to carry so much into the next layer because the green glue is isolating it. Yes, they're going to be screwed together. It's all going to be screwed together, and so that's why it's not a totally perfect system, because we're not going to just trust the glue to hold heavy sheets of drywall. But that's going to help a lot. The other thing that really absorbs sound is air. Even just a little bit of airspace between 2 resonating objects really goes a long way with soundproofing. That's why the whole concept of building a room within a room or floating a floor is a big deal. If you do that, then you've got a room that's vibrating or resonating as sound waves make it do, but because it's not directly connected to the outside structure, those vibrations and therefore the sound doesn't continue. Now, I decided not to totally build a room within a room in this space, really for a couple reasons. One is that it would result in me having to build the ceiling too low. I'm 6'4", and if the ceiling is going to be 7.5 feet the whole way, that's just going to be frustrating. I've also got to think about drum overheads, and I want to have them up over the kit, not, down on the cymbals. Plus I want to be able to mount my camera up over the kit, so I don't want the ceilings to go any lower. So really I was willing to sacrifice some of that extra soundproofing just to keep the ceilings higher. There's also though some imperfections to this room, and there's some major flaws that really prevent this from being a totally soundproof room. And the big thing is the utilities over there. There's a utility closet, the furnace, the AC, it has to breathe, so I've got to put louvered doors there. So sound's going to be going straight back and forth between here and there. So there's only so much point in doing extreme soundproofing in this room because of these imperfections that I can't work around unless I want to spend a ton of money. So again, I'm doing things on a budget, and I'm not going to redo my AC system so that I can have it super quiet. I'm working around what's here. And so there are going to be certain issues that I've got to deal with. And so it's okay that the room's not going to be totally soundproof. It's just going to be much more sound dampened than it was. And that's going to be a really cool comparison. What I'm planning on doing, I've got past recordings of the drums down here recorded from the kitchen above. No insulation, nothing in the ceiling. So now we'll redo those videos, and we'll have the drums down here playing, and we'll have the mics up there, and we'll see how much of a difference the R38 insulation and the 2 layers of drywall with green glue make. I think that's going to be pretty cool and pretty interesting. So that'll be down the road in a few weeks as I get closer to having the ceiling done. So I hope you enjoyed this video, as long and detailed as it was. That's what a lot of you guys asked for, so I hope you found it interesting. I'm really enjoying this whole process of building all this down here. It's been really fun, but I am eager to get it finished, get back down here, get to playing, because I miss that and I miss making normal videos. So I'm looking forward to doing that soon. Thanks so much guys for watching. Thanks for being a part of this channel and for supporting my work here. I will show you some more as the progress continues, hopefully make some more of these videos in the coming weeks. So until then, take care. I will see you on the next video. Thanks guys.